Okie dokie, here we go. So we've got the muscles drawn in and we've got value in the muscles. And we started to do a little bit of features, like I added some detail to the pupils of the eye, and I added a little bit of the nose, the tip of the nose, and the lips. So this is the next step. And this is the part where it's just really important that you take a picture of it right now because it's going away, right? We're going to blend it all in and we're going to erase a lot and we're going to try to make it look like a human with skin now. But we're not going to lose some of the detail that we need to tell us where the shadows are on the face and the highlights are on the face, right? Like we know that there's cheekbones here. We know there's a jawline. We know that there's eye sockets here. We know that the brow line kind of hits above this eye socket. So we know where those things are now, and we have to take advantage of that. We have to kind of like erase carefully. So taking your eraser, you're going to sort of like blend erase. That's what I call it. So I'm going in a circular motion. I'm kind of pushing evenly right now. I'm just getting kind of like a skin tone. And this is where you really have to think about two things. Number one, where things sink in and dip in on the face, there's going to be a shadow. Number two, where things pop out and stick out on the face, there's going to be a highlight. So you might even want to go in and put your highlights in before you blend. So on the ridge of the brow, there's a highlight. It's usually above your eyebrow. So I'm going to put a highlight in there. It's usually just a little line because it's not a really thick ridge. It's typically just a very thin highlight. The forehead, this whole area on the forehead is going to have a highlight. And if you wanted to be even more advanced about it, you could choose a light source. Like for example, you could say that I really want this side, the left side of the face, to have a brighter light source than the right side, which means that this is going to be a brighter highlights and this is going to be in shadow. So let's even think about it in a little bit more of an advanced way. So that means this highlight on this part here is going to be a little brighter than maybe over here. Okay, and then I'm going to just blend the rest. I'm just pushing very lightly so that I don't lose my charcoal and I don't get rid of it all. I'm just kind of moving it around. And that's sort of the beauty of the subtractive technique, is that the charcoal is there on the page already. And all you have to do is move it around once it's there. You can use your blending stumps, you can use your eraser. If you like to, get your hands dirty, you could use your hands. So now we're thinking about skin. So this is the part where you can kind of like make decisions about skin tone if you want to. If you wanted your person to have a darker skin tone, you could work on that while you're working on this part. It's up to you. It's sort of this is the part where you get to kind of be creative and choose to do things. Okay, so the ridge of the nose, right? The bridge of the nose is going to be in highlight. So I'm going to drop my highlight down the nose like this. And that highlight on the nose kind of connects to the highlight on the top of the bridge, on the top of the eyebrow. There we go. Now all of a sudden we have a nose. It just kind of magically appears. And then we're going to have a shadow right here, you guys, right? Because that's dipping in. That is concave as opposed to convex, which is sticking out. So that's going to be in shadow. And so is the inside socket of the eye. That is also going to be in shadow because it's going in. And that's where we're using the muscles and the tendons that we've drawn to inform the way that we shade and highlight. It's like it's already there. We don't have to worry about it too much. Now this is also going to be a little bit in shadow, but we do have a highlight in here, which might be a good idea to have like an eraser that's a little smaller to kind of get in there. So we're going to have a highlight on the eyelid and then probably a highlight above the eyelid as well. And then maybe a little highlight under the, like if there's a little bit of a bag right there, you could add a little shadow. And everyone, even young people, have a little bit of a ridge right there, like a bump, because that's where your eyeball is. Your eyeball is not the shape of the opening of your eyelids. Your eyeball is in your socket and it's got dimension and it sits in there and creates shadows and highlights. So you kind of have to create that, the illusion that it's sitting in there. And then your eye, if you really want to study your eye too, you can like have a mirror up in front of you and you can really look at the details of where the shadows and highlights are around the eye. Alright, and then I got a cheekbone over here. The cheekbone is going to be in highlight because it's sticking out. And then maybe along the ridge of the cheekbone might have a highlight, depending on like how deep that cheekbone sits into the face. And then I'm going to blend this muscle in here. You guys have any questions so far? No questions? Alright, so we look at the lip. The upper lip has a highlight on it because it sticks out. And then here's the cheekbone. I'm going to make the cheekbone a little bit brighter here. If any of you are interested or into contouring, right, the makeup technique of contouring, that's kind of what we're doing right now. We're contouring this face. We're adding the highlights and the shadows.
Miss Greninger?
Yeah.
I had a question.
Sure.
I wasn't here on Thursday last week.
Uh-huh.
So do I have to do the muscle and the skin today? Or like the structure?
Oh, you have time. I don't think I'm gonna make this. This isn't due till Friday. Okay, so obviously you have to do the muscles before the skin, so just focus on that today. I think I'm gonna change the shape of her lips a little bit too. So I just said her. I don't know. I started out with the female skull, and I guess I stuck to that.
Miss Manager?
Yeah.
What if we accidentally went ahead and like finished the skin and clothes?
If you did that, that is fine. I do want to see what you did and maybe offer any suggestions.
Okay.
For improvement. But I like that you're feeling ambitious to work on it. That's great. I think I'm going to deal with that brighter highlight later. I think I'm going to just try to get the skin tone in first. And then I'll go back and I might even, did I give you guys white charcoal? I can't remember if it was you or the intro class that I gave it to.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So we're going to use that at the very end. We don't want to rely on it for our highlights until the very end. They're sort of like the bright highlights. Alright, so there's definitely a shadow here between the nose and the cheekbone. So I'm kind of going back and forth, you know, like I find this shadow and then I find the highlight and back and forth and back and forth. And I'm not going to add any details like the hair and the eyebrows and stuff until I'm done with the skin. I want to get that skin right first. You know, and this is where your style comes in too, you know. Do you like heavy contrast in your work? Or do you like your work to be really light and airy? You know, do you want very little shadow and mostly highlight, or do you want it to have a lot of mood and contrast in it? Like, what are you going for? Or, you know, sometimes what you like just kind of comes out in the aesthetic choices that you make as you're working on it. I'm a high contrast kind of person, as you probably noticed. I like it when there's a kind of a good range of value, but also kind of extremes in the darks and the lights. I'm just kind of more drawn to the graphic quality of that. You know, and then you would think about like, well, what color are the eyes, and what does that translate into in terms of value? I think that her eyes are going to be kind of dark, like a dark brown or maybe a dark blue. You know, you can add makeup and stuff later, but for now we're just working on the basic stuff. So there's a highlight on the chin, and then the rest is going to be a little bit blended in here. Maybe a highlight along the ridge of the jaw. And really look at your own face in the mirror. Look at where the lighting is. You could even put a light on the side of your face and study where the highlights are and where the shadows are. I bet you if you do that, your drawing will be more realistic. I'm going to work on the nose a little. I don't like the way I drew that tip of her nose, so I'm going to do that over. Give a little bit more detail to that nostril. You have a question?
Yes. Is there such thing as colored charcoal, like red?
That would be chalk pastel. So chalk pastel is different than charcoal. It's different it's more like colored powders mixed with like a medium to hold it all together.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can mix charcoal and chalk pastel. Okay, so do you get the idea, you guys? This is kind of how you work on the face, and then I'm gonna work on the face a little bit more, but I wanted to show you the hair and the clothes now. So let's pretend like I finished all the blending. And I'm gonna start adding like details to the eyes. I'm looking at it on the screen here, and I can tell that I want to work on this eye a little bit. It looks too different from this eye, so I think I need to work on that. But the hair, so now this is where it gets fun. I suggest that you look at your own hair or a picture of someone whose hair that you think would go really well with your person. And then kind of figure out what happens here. For me, maybe I'll do something curly because curly is challenging and that might be kind of fun for you guys to see. So maybe I'll do like short and curly. So yeah, first you have to decide like where the hairline is going to be. So I might do like a little sketch here, a little outline of like where the hair is going to. Maybe there's a little bit of a sideburn here, and then what does the outline look like? Maybe I'll do like the silhouette. So maybe she has sort of curly, kind of wavy hair that kind of comes up like that. And then maybe it kind of comes down just a little bit right there. So because it's curly, I want to represent those curls. So I might just go in and like draw big spirals and just kind of get in there with different size spirals. Because I'm going to have to go in there with my charcoal and add some value so that that hair will look realistic. But for now, we're just adding contour lines just to kind of map it out.
Hello.
You have a question?
What is that? Ramen?
If somebody is not on mute, which is totally fine, just want you to know if you don't intend to be on with your mic on. Okay, so I've got sort of the contour of that. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add some value to those curls. And I'm going to kind of follow the direction of the curl with the way I shade it. And that'll help with having to do less like erasing later. Because I'll have natural shadow kind of built into my line work here. Now if you want to do straight hair, I can show you how to do that too on a different piece of paper. But it's basically the same concept, it's just like what line do I start out with? Do I start with curly line or do I start with straight line? Okay, so now I'm going to go in with my big blending stump and I'm going to just get in there and do some swirls. Just like repeating the same motion. I'm not completely blending it all in the same value though, because I want to keep some of that lighter value. That's going to help me when I get into the realism of the hair. You might have noticed that your blending stumps are starting to get really dirty looking. If you wanted to clean them up, you go find some sandpaper in your garage and sand them down. And that's a good way to kind of clean them up. It makes them smaller, but that's okay. Alright, so she's got big curls. So now I might want to go in and do a little bit more blending so it doesn't look like she's got rollers in her hair, like instead it's all kind of attached together. So like the basic texture outlined. Now we need to go in and do some more blending. And then you can also get in there with your eraser and create some strands. Pull out some texture, subtract some hair texture. Maybe pull those pieces together a bit. And then I'll probably go in later with the charcoal again and create more shadow. It's like a back and forth, back and forth. And this is where I could play with it a bit. Like maybe I don't want the curls to be this tight. Maybe I can kind of loosen it up a little bit and start pulling some strands, longer strands through. And maybe giving her some, maybe they're waves. Maybe they're not tight curls. Maybe they're waves instead. Sometimes I like to draw with my eraser more than I like to draw with my charcoals. I love the way it kind of creates a strip of value. It's like instant dimension. Maybe I have a little bit of bangs kind of hanging down on the forehead here. I'm going to blend this part. Let me show you a trick too. I've got some bangs hanging down, and then I'm going to go back in with my charcoal, and I'm going to pull some shadow back in to those bangs. So like I said, push and pull, right? You push the charcoal in and you pull it out with your eraser, back and forth. I'm gonna still work on it because now there's some confusion. Is it straight? Is it curly? What's going on here? So I'm gonna keep kind of like lengthening those curls here. It's both. It's kind of like a big wave. And then now I can kind of decide, well, what do I do with those eyebrows? I don't like the shape of those eyebrows right now, so I'm gonna kind of blend them in and start over. And I might even get the silhouette of the face back. I feel like I lost it. Kind of carry that back in there. There we go. All right, starting to come together. Starting to look like a person. Now, the neat thing about this drawing this way is that you don't really know what you're going to get until you get it, until it happens. Any questions? How are your muscles going? Anyone getting any facial features yet? You guys with me? No one's responding. Okay guys, we're still in instructional mode, so I should see all screens on unless you've emailed me or messaged me that you can't have your screen on. So guys, when I'm demonstrating, I just unfortunately I really can't respond to chat questions. So you're going to have to just unmute and ask with your voices, okay? I want to hear your voices. I like your voices. Talk to me. All right, so I went in there and I kind of added a bunch of lines for the hair. I'm going to do a little bit more blending on them. So like I said, back and forth, right? I added some sharp lines. Now I'm going to go back in and kind of blend a couple of them, not all of them. I like some of those sharp lines. They're adding dimension and a range of value to my texture. And I might even go in with the white charcoal later and add some super duper highlights. Okay. I think I need to fix that eye before I do the eyebrows. Maybe blend her cheeks or skin tone and her neck up. Give her some more highlights. I gotta fix her lips. I feel like her lips are not right on the top here. I like her nose. I like her eyes, but I feel like one of them is too high. The left one is too high. So I might have to actually go in and erase this top part and drop it down a bit. And that's okay. If you need to erase, do it. Don't be afraid to redraw something. Now when you start to draw the pupils in there, pick a direction that they're looking. And make sure both of those pupils are going in that direction. Because if you don't, they're going to look like they're looking in different directions. So Okay, so at this stage, guys, I'm going to keep demonstrating and working on this, but you can also turn your screens off if you like and continue to work. That's totally fine. You want to check out for a bit. We get out of class at 3 o'clock, so I would like you to come back at 2:50 to do your post your whip and do your checkout and answer any questions. All right, so you officially can turn your screen off if you want, and you're coming back at 2:50. I'm going to be here working, and I will be here to answer questions if you need me.
Miss Greninger,
Yeah,
I just had a question for the semester.
sure.
How much realism are we going to be doing?
How much realism?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to have a nice mix of realism and abstract. So, yeah, it's
I
not
mostly
all
draw
going to be
cartoons.
realism. What's that?
It says that my basic art focus is cartoons.
Is it? Oh, okay. Well, we don't really do anime cartoon type stuff in this department. Unless until you get like in a little bit older and you have your own style and you can learn how to start bringing it into the work. But Thomas, why don't you show me some of your stuff and maybe we'll find a way to kind of honor that and help you grow in that area, okay?
Yeah.
But this realism, this drawing, these figures realistically will help your anime style. I promise you that.
Well, it's not really anime. It's just good old classic, old-timey cartoon things.
Old-timey?
Well, not sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, this helps me learn more about drawing people.
Yeah. Why don't you send me a couple of your drawings? I'm curious. Just email them to me. If you don't mind sharing, I'd like to see.
Okay, sure.
My brother was joking around when I showed him my little person.
Mm-hmm.
He said that looks like Vetter with hair.
Oh, now I got to see your person. You got to show me when you're done, okay? Maybe we can get Mr. Vetter to come model for us. Although I think he has class during this time.
My brother used to go to the school, so he knows who Vetter is, and he has I think it's his stepson that used to go on his cross country team.
Uh-huh.
And my brother's like joking around saying like, you probably purposely drew him, and I was like, I thought he was serious, and I told him I don't really know who I'm drawing from the beginning.
Well, maybe I'll have Mr. Vetter come in and do a guest demo or something so you can meet him. So just for the purposes of this demo, I wanted the skin to just look really natural and soft and kind of glowing. So, and I'm a ceramic artist too, so I love to work with my hands. I actually prefer to blend with my fingers because I feel like I have more control over them than I do the blending step. You can see how quickly kind of moving around with my finger here and kind of like almost digging into the areas that I want super blended. Okay, I want her to have some highlight, but I want her to have a darker skin tone and like really soft highlights, not like extreme highlights. So I'm just getting in there, and my fingertip oils are starting to kind of mix in with charcoal. I can see that it's getting a little bit like granulated looking, and it's all just kind of adding more nice kind of like soft texture to the skin tone. So don't be afraid to get in there with your fingers and kind of really massage the charcoal into the paper. I think I need to get in here and add a little bit more charcoal to this neck and do a little erasing. I don't want it to be that extreme in terms of seeing the tendon and muscle.